Welcome, everyone. I'm Paula Chiocchi, CEO of Outward Media, and this is the Marketing Vanguard Leading Voices in B2B Innovation podcast. Today we have Kyle Mealy, CEO of Kyle, how do you say?
Next level revenue.
Next Level Revenue. There you go, missed it. He is the CEO of Next Level Revenue. What really interests me about Kyle is his marrying the sales aspect to the marketing aspect. And as long as I've been in marketing, that's been a fight between the two to try to get to what the end game is, obviously revenue. So this is Kyle's expertise. So we'll jump in here. So Kyle, since that's what you do is unified revenue function, which again is a refreshing shift. What is the biggest change you've seen in how small B2B businesses need to think about growth today as compared to a few years ago?
I'll lay it out there.
Okay.
We're in a revolution, not an evolution of
Okay.
marketing and sales. That one little letter R changes the time frame exponentially. And that's what my model is solving for is modern marketing and sales. And I can obviously go into it, but I'll answer your question with another question.
Okay.
And it'll be interesting to hear your take because you're a marketer. Most of your listeners will probably have an answer to this question too, but it's a good place to start talking about how I see the world differently. What's the amount of times a brand needs to be seen before a buyer is moved to take action? What's the
I,
number that comes to your mind?
the number of times that need to be seen, I think it's gone from six to probably 20. Is that a good guess?
That's great. No, because the most common answer I get is seven. And
Okay.
marketers usually know it's higher, and I absolutely
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
And where it comes from is a guy named Dr. Jeffrey Lant. He postulated the theory in 1995 about this seven times. And I'm like,
Yeah.
has
1995.
the world changed?
Yeah.
Yep. So if you're still thinking in 1995 terms, you need to start thinking in 2025 terms. So I teach people it's seven times seven ways. So what's the biggest change? Marketing and sales is one function in small business, and you need to get your message, whether it be a marketing channel or a sales channel, however you want to like, because to me they're the same, seven times seven ways.
Yeah. I think part of it too, Kyle, is the attention span. Attention
Oh,
span maybe back in 95 was 20 minutes. What is it now? 2 minutes?
two.
I see it in my nephews, millennials. It's like on to the next thing.
Yeah,
So,
I have two young kids. Yeah, for sure. And what I'll say is the distance between messaging and their eyes has gotten a lot shorter. So what I mean by that is even when I grew up, you'd have to turn the TV on to see a message. Well, they might hear it on my wife and I's phone. They might see it, hopefully not, but on a tablet, or they're seeing it just in so many more ways. They're listening to it on Alexa. And I just think marketing has gotten closer to our world, and therefore there's more of it.
totally agree with you. So you've helped companies double and even triple the revenue. I saw on your LinkedIn one company from 3 to 7 million, which is phenomenal. I don't think I've talked to anybody recently that can claim that
Oh, wow.
in a very short time frame. So what role does early audience planning and data play into accelerating those kind of results from your perspective?
So here's where it gets interesting. A lot of the CEOs and business leaders I talk to, they're still using an outdated playbook for marketing and sales. And one of the outdated playbooks was get your really crystal clear ICP, write a message, and then go blast it out for cost. That's a strategy. And I think in 2025, you are going to make very expensive mistakes if you try and solve marketing and sales with a single strategy, a strategy. So if you want a really good stratagem, and there's a difference between the definition of a strategy and stratagem. Strategy is a plan, stratagem is a clever tactic or a clever way of making that plan. You actually have to start with measuring. You have to measure discreetly the entire buyer journey. And we call that the revenue cascade. That's our IP around measuring the buyer journey from the first time they ever experience your brand way, way out here in the ecosystem out in the wild, all the way to the moment they sign, the agreement and cash changes hands. And if you can measure every little intersection really well, you will find where the holes are in your marketing funnel and your sales pipeline, and then you assign a strategy to close that gap. Otherwise, you're just guessing. And I will stand behind that, whether it's offensive or not. But I will tell you, I had a brilliant client They had some of the best marketing I've ever seen. And I'm like, you're generating leads. I don't understand. How is this not working? And it wasn't because, and they thought they needed more marketing. When we did our analysis, their sales was broken,
Ah,
badly broken. And you couldn't even have found it in the KPIs they were tracking. You had to measure new KPIs. And that's what my whole perspective is: measure the buyer journey, then IDS the strategy. Don't look for a strategy on partial data.
so they were generating leads, but they weren't being pulled through, is what you're saying.
That was exactly right.
Okay.
But they thought they had a marketing problem. They were looking for marketing strategy, but they actually had a sales problem. And I've seen the inverse. So
Mhm.
when people come looking for strategy, the question I say is, how are you measuring all the buyer journey pieces? Because I don't think your problem is your problem until we can see it in numbers.
So, given that, what a lot of small businesses can't afford a lot of different platforms, like maybe the Fortune 2000 or even significantly sized mid-sized businesses, what MarTech tools and platforms do you use in order to accomplish what you just explained to us?
I joke, I laugh about this because I've always been in the seat where we didn't have money and resources. I'm not, this is why I've tried to pull chief revenue officer out of the enterprise land and into small business. Because let's be real, most of us can't afford a marketing like executive and a sales executive and all the functions and all the tech underneath. Would If I wore sleeves, I would say, here's the MarTech, it's my sleeves. And if my keyboard was dirty, you would see dirty hands.
Okay.
We joke about it as we're the duct tape and popsicle sticks. So a lot of the data we go get is the free data available to you. We just know
Okay.
where to look. So Google Analytics is free. Google Search Console is free. You just need a Google email. If you have LinkedIn, you can get your impressions off of there for free. If you
Mhm.
have any kind, Microsoft Clarity gives you a ton of data on web traffic. If you have, you can get really cheap CRMs to pull in sales data, and most of the time we just put it all in sheets for the V1 because we don't have time to do it any other way. And so I think of us as the MacGyvers, right? We have to go
I
find a
like
way
that.
to give us a pen, a match,
Yeah.
like some wax, and we'll go build a rocket.
And I think the market that you're serving, because I've talked to other people that are working in the small business community, is very underserved. And they don't, as you mentioned, they don't really know how to do it, and they're focusing on the wrong thing. And then they
Yep,
don't really understand the platforms either.
exactly.
So do you in your business help them get the platforms, or do you provide the platforms, or how do you do that?
Yeah, I would call it scaffolding. When you're going to overhaul something, a building, right, a business, a marketing and sales structure, we're going to start with scaffolding because that's how we're going to be able to reach all the places we need. And so you can't start scaffolding on the third floor, you have to start at the base floor. And so usually that's your Google Sheets. That's just making sure analytics is connected. That's making sure your leads from your website is connected. That's actually going in and measuring. That's retaining ownership of all your platforms. That's phase one. Then with data, we can start to make assessments. And at the end of the day, the other half of the equation that is so rarely talked about in B2B that I just was so frustrated with was ROI. And
Mhm.
it's like, I'm not going to be the consultant who comes in and says, here's all the 47 things you need to make it work with me. We're only going to invest in a platform, only going to invest in a CRM. We're only going to invest in this tech when we can afford it and we can actually measure the ROI. And that's one of our other pieces of IP is the ROI calculation that any with a back of a napkin we could calculate right now for any of your listeners. As you get to level two, usually it's a CRM. And do we install it? Yeah, I've had to install 4 or 5 different kinds of CRMs. One of our specialties is we're system agnostic.
Okay.
Uh, do I know how to put the code for analytics on a website? Unfortunately, I do. I wish, but I know how to do it because I've had to figure it out.
Mhm.
And level two is when you start to make all those systems talk. And then level three, you start to measure all those systems. And so I think most people try and skip to three because that's how they did it in enterprise when they had lots of money to do it. And now they're experts. But I've always been ground up figuring it out from we have $8 and a lot of energy and enthusiasm.
Yeah.
What are we going to do?
And that can go a long way, but you mentioned the enterprise level because the enterprise level sometimes will have 10 different platforms and don't even use them. And they're spending millions of dollars.
Some of that money into the small business community,
Mhm.
we'd all be much better off.
And then the CFO says, why do we have all this? But you're the other side of the spectrum. You're trying to show them that they do need it, but that it can be economical and it doesn't have to be 10 platforms and,
Oh,
and to measure outcomes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Google Sheets and Excel can take a business a lot further than they think. You just need to know where to look and what to hook up to. And again, I'm cheap. I'll say it till I fall over. I'm cheap.
I think maybe cheap but effective.
And at the end of the day, that's what MacGyver was like. Limited resources, high effectiveness. And that's when I think about who we want to be and how we want to serve and what we do. That's it, because I love the gritty entrepreneur. That's why I told you this before.
Yes.
I started in the lab world, but then I ended up next to entrepreneurs. And I just admired them because most entrepreneurs have nothing. Most of the true entrepreneurs, in my experience, are SMB owners who had an idea and just
Yep.
threw themselves out
Yep.
there. And they're not marketers or
No.
salespeople.
They're
So,
wearing several different hats, trying to keep the doors open.
and they're doing the same thing we're doing. We just do it with the expertise that they've been missing and at the price that isn't unreasonable.
Is your engagement typically, is it ongoing or do you get systems in place and then they take it from there?
10.3 months. I'm a data guy.
Okay.
That's our average is 10.3.
Okay.
Some go a little bit longer, some go a little shorter, but generally we install the IP. We have three core pieces of IP. We fix some of the biggest problems, and then it's decision time for that business. Sometimes business owners already had someone in the wings ready to go who had no idea what to do. They're the right who, and we just show them how to measure, what to think about when they're measuring, and then how to go execute, and then they can run the ship. Game on. Some they fall in love with the CRO and they just keep leveling up until it becomes a problem. And one of my favorite client stories now is I told them when we were going through the engagement processes. So when are you done? I go, Ken, one day we're gonna wake up and we're gonna both look at each other and be like, I don't think you need me anymore. And whatever happened, I was out for a meeting that on one of our scheduled meetings with the leadership team for the revenue group. And literally, I wasn't there. And the meeting ran perfectly. I got a great little summary. I knew where all the numbers were. Everything was going in the right direction in my inbox from the one of the leaders and the sub leaders. And all of a sudden, I was meeting with Ken, and we didn't miss you. And I'm like, it kind of seems like that. We laughed and I'm like, I think we're done here. And he goes, I think so too. So that was a fun, like, I love that kind of story because there's no lingering unnecessarily. It is, they're so confident that they have the clarity that it's obvious.
And I think the fact that you make it to where they can take it over is huge. And if they follow through and do it, okay.
And that was, I think, the big aha was like, oh, maybe I've been holding them back because they were ready to run. And obviously, there's some self-reflection to learn from there too, because I don't want to be in the way. I don't want to charge anybody for work they don't need. But that was a fun way of wrapping one up.
I would imagine a lot of your business comes through referral then.
We drink
Cold
our own
outreach?
champagne. We
Okay.
do all of it. We do not just cold outreach,
Okay.
but thought leaders. I've got the book, so I get cold leads from my book. Um,
Okay. Oh, you have a book? Well, hold it up.
oh,
Next Level Revenue Formula. Is that on Amazon?
it is on Amazon.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah,
So,
no, we get it from cold, we get it from warm, we get people hitting the blog, hitting the contact us, reach on LinkedIn. We drink our own champagne, so we do the exact same recipe that we give to our clients. Why? Not because I'm that smart. I just know it
it
works.
works. Yep, same thing we tell our clients. You have to be in the channels where people are, when you go to the marketing perspective, it's where are you in the journey, all the channels, so they can find you when they're ready.
Mhm.
And we tell all our clients the same thing. And now you have social media, you have email marketing, you have programmatic, you have direct mail. We still have some clients that do that. Got to be there when they raise their hand and
And you
cut through the noise.
can cut through the noise.
Yeah.
The that's what I've found is one of the sneaky, most potent pieces of our IP. Two of them are very analytical. The third piece, and it forms what we like consider the core of our work, is how to cut through the noise. So we've developed a methodology that is really potent in doing that. And it's hard. And I mean, you actually showed your community exactly why it works. What caught my eye was Kyle is unifying marketing and sales. That's exactly what our unique position is that. And if you don't know how to cut through the noise, you're not gonna make any noise.
Yeah, and as we were saying earlier, also a small business, they're wearing the two hats. So you're almost forced to put those two together. They don't have a
100%.
choice. They don't
Ex-
have they don't have the they don't have 250 grand to pay a CMO.
Say it louder so everybody
Yeah.
can.
And I don't know what the CRO costs, but I know the CMO costs at least that.
Yeah, an enterprise CRO is
Yeah.
stupidly expensive that none of us could afford. So I don't even I like that's why I try and put small business in front of ours because revenue is marketing plus sales. That's what when I think of revenue, it was the entrepreneur sitting next to me going, "We got to make money. Can you go help fix that?" I'll be like, "I'll figure it out."
When you look ahead, is there any one trend or strategy you believe that small B2B marketing focused businesses must embrace to achieve sustainable growth in the next few years?
I'll just put my unique opinion in.
Okay, no, that's what we're here for.
They need to think in terms of revenue, not marketing and sales. Adding marketing doesn't always equal new growth. Adding sales doesn't always equal new growth. You just have to switch the perspective. That being said, obviously, when you get under the hood, there's still a marketing function, there's still a sales function, there's still that. But what I found is when you live in two different worlds, that bridge gets too hard to, you spend more time worrying about the in between marketing and sales than you do on the customer. And so, what would I say the trend is? I think the trend is moving towards you have to think revolution, not evolution. So most of the CEOs I'm working with are on 3 to 5 years of outdated information on marketing and sales. They're saying 7. You said 20, so I think you're in the minority at this point already, Paula. But most of the CEOs and owners I talk to still think in terms of 7, which is 30-year-old thinking. They need to move way forward and realize that right now is the next wave of entrepreneurs are coming in and they're going to be able to build low code, no code with AI, cut through the noise, find their niche faster for a tenth the resources. So if you are not revolutionizing how you think, you are going to go the way of the dinosaurs.
I like you calling it a revolution. Are you incorporating AI by any chance?
In what?
AI? Are you incorporating any AI?
Oh, big time. Yeah, we make custom GPTs for our clients. We have an Ask Kyle bot. We have all the pieces. What I'm working on next will be a low code, no code solution to some other fun projects I'm involved in. But yeah, oh,
Yeah.
of course. And it's scale. Like it's scale for cheap. You don't want to open the door for me on that because I have this whole theory on, I call it light blue collar work. Blue collar work went overseas. That was a revolution. And then there was a lot more white collar work. And right now we've rebuilt the assembly line in the modern ecosystem where a white collar worker is moving widget A to widget B. We just call it Slack or Monday. The captions, they're moving paper from here to here digitally. It's an assembly line. All of that work will be outsourced to AI. What I'm now calling light blue collar, it is the day-to-day effort, is going to be replaced by AI. So you either have to figure out how to leverage AI for yourself as an entrepreneur, which is going to be actually the easiest way to grow, or you're going to have to become an expert at understanding and using AI and making AI make you smarter.
We've started using AI just to build out our data sets. It helps it keeps it more up to date. And it's fastly changing. We have to stay ahead of the curve on that. So, Kyle, you have a very interesting business and it's in great need for small businesses. How does somebody reach you?
I'll do the book plug because my
Feel free.
no, I say it this way
Yeah.
because I don't need you to buy my book, but there's so many people who want to implement this stuff first before they call an expert,
Yeah.
which is perfectly fine. So I tried to write this that you could do it yourself. This isn't like a one idea book. This is more of I jokingly refer to it as it's like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but it's the Hitchhiker's Guide to Marketing and Sales
Okay.
because it should be able to take you wherever you need to go and give you the information when you need it. Otherwise, find me on LinkedIn or our website when you're ready. It's readyforthenextlevel.com.
Okay. I love your energy. I would imagine your clients do too, and the results that they get from you. It's been great spending time with you, Kyle.
Thanks, Paula. It's been wonderful. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Back at you.